Howdy, everyone. That media guy here, and allow me to preface what you are about to watch. So, I just saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I have a lot to say about it. I have started scripting a full review that I hope to have out for next week, but needless to say, I am not the only one with thoughts on this movie. As you might have seen, this movie has brought out quite the disparity between critics and audiences. Critical reactions have not exactly been the greatest, to say the least, while audience reactions, well, the box office speaks for itself. The thing is, the difference between films that critics like and films that audiences watch has been quite apparent for quite a while now. When looking at 2022 films, for example, Everything Everywhere All at Once received glowing reviews and won 7 Oscars on 11 nominations, yet only made just over $111 million worldwide. In comparison, Jurassic World Dominion received scathing reviews and had absolutely no presence at the Academy Awards, yet it made over $1 billion. Why on earth is that the case? Well, when I was in college, I delved into this topic and it ended up becoming the basis for what effectively became my senior thesis. And what follows this introduction bit is me presenting my research to the community. I hope that learning about the difference between what critics and audiences look for in films and what it means to think critically about a movie can help provide context for the various reactions to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, as well as other movies that garner a similar response. So, with all that said, thank you so much for watching, click the red button to subscribe, and enjoy my presentation for the Illinois College Celebration of Excellence.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas Amodio, and I would like to welcome you to the Academy, where the critics that make up this institution endorse critical thinking at the cost of not endorsing financially successful films. For roughly the first 50 years of the Academy's history, the Best Picture winner was among the 10 highest-grossing films of the year, nearly 9 times out of 10. This figure started to decline after that, but even in the 1990s, the Best Picture winner was among the 10 highest-grossing films of the year 7 times out of 10. However, after Gladiator, the second highest-grossing film of the year 2000, the Best Picture winner has almost never been among the highest-grossing films of the year, with the sole exception of The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King sweeping the 2003 award season. Unfortunately, this trend has signaled a decline in the general public's interest in the Academy Awards, to the point where the last few ceremonies are among the least watched in Oscar history. The Academy has tried to rectify this problem by trying to include more financially successful films in their ceremonies. For the 2010 award ceremony, the Academy expanded the number of Best Picture nominees from 5 to 10. Unfortunately, even though the then highest-grossing film of all time, Avatar, was on this nominee list, the Academy ended up giving the award to The Hurt Locker, which is the lowest-grossing Best Picture winner in Oscar history, well, at least domestically and adjusted for inflation. After that, in August of 2018, the Academy announced that they were going to add the Best Popular Film category for the 2019 ceremony. This decision was revoked after a strong public backlash, as it implied that the actual Best Picture nominee symbolizes the Academy's bias against popular films. That does beg the question, is the Academy biased against popular films? Why is the Academy no longer awarding films that are among the highest grossing of their respective years with Best Picture? One persuasive explanation is evident when we examine both the films that have won Best Picture and the highest-grossing films of the year in the past 20 years. In this time, films focused on content designed for immature audiences make up a higher percentage of financially successful films. In the 20th century, it was quite rare for more than one film focused on content designed for immature audiences to be very financially successful in a given year. But in the year 2010, out of the 10 highest-grossing films of the year, 5 of them were focused on content designed for such audiences. Clearly, the Academy is reluctant to award films focused on child content. The current MPAA rating system was created in 1968, and the Best Picture winner from that year, Oliver, is the only Best Picture winner in Oscar history to receive a G rating. However, the data show that the trend is more complicated when compared to another trend that has been occurring in the film industry in this time. Out of each of the 10 highest grossing films for each year of the 2010 decade, 8 were Disney films. In 2019 alone, out of the 10 highest grossing films of the year, 9 of them grossed over $1 billion that year, and of those 9 films, 7 were Disney films. 1 was a Sony film that was part of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe, and 1 of them was a DC superhero film made in response to Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. Coincidentally, that last film was the most nominated film at the most recent Academy Awards show, yet even it failed to take home the Best Picture statue. What we see here in these developments is a trend towards something very disturbing, but most people do not seem to realize why. If we consider the economic and corporate ethos of the Disney franchise, which is devoted to maximizing profits, the fact that they made 7 films in 2019 that grossed over $1 billion is something that should be of concern to anyone interested in the quality of public entertainment. And after all, why shouldn't they? Disney films deserve to make that much money because of the quality of these films, and as a result of this, Disney is one of the greatest movie companies of all time. This might be less problematic if Disney was primarily engaged in filmmaking, but, in fact, it is much more focused on its theme parks, as the revenue from the theme parks was $5.5 billion, while the revenue from the films was only $1.4 billion in the fourth quarter of 2017. That means that Disney makes almost 4 times as much from their parks as they do from their films. The problem is that Disney's profit fixation causes the corporation to neglect complex storylines, plots, etc., in favor of simplistic, immature, stereotypical, and predictable characters that do not challenge or enlighten the audience, but rather cater to their prejudices and their comfort zone. This corporate entertainment formula does not work for the Academy Awards, but does work for theme parks, which are not designed to be intellectually or emotionally complex. As a result, it is clear that Disney films are less like standalone works of art that the Academy likes to reward, and more like advertisements for their parks. This results in Disney choosing to riddle their films with easily marketable characters and cater to predictable, oversimplified characters and infantile human relationships, aka stories marked more by their mediocrity than their creativity, which are designed to attract consumers to their parks. While this approach may be appropriate for theme parks, it has a disastrous effect on the quality of films and is diametrically opposed to what the Academy has traditionally sought to reward in their Best Picture winners in the 21st century. In sharp contrast to the Disney model we have been examining, the Academy Awards prefers to award Best Picture to films that have more sophisticated stories recently. In fact, out of the 15 most recent Best Picture winners, only 2 of them failed to win Best Screenplay. The films that win Best Screenplay are usually films that provide complex narratives and are therefore of the highest quality for consumers, at least as far as the Academy is concerned. That raises the question, can the Academy get away with resisting the Disney machine? Are they really willing to ignore the Disney billions in the name of quality? What exactly is the Academy trying to promote? We might describe the Academy's goal as the acknowledgement of creative effort and artistry. The dedication, discipline, creativity, and imagination that is both transformative and ennoble our culture and society. Creating a sophisticated story takes time and effort from a creator that really cares about the art of filmmaking. When artists really put their mind to creating a story that can get individuals to think critically, they can produce films that are treasured by the Academy, even though they are not regular, economically predictable hits. On the other hand, creating economically profitable images and catering to predictable, oversimplified characters and infantile human relationships leads to stories marked more by their mediocrity than their creativity. This is so easy that, when this is the sole focus, a creative team paired with a filmmaking crew can make a Disney advertisement in less than 1 year. In 1996, Shigeru Miyamoto, considered to be one of the greatest video game creators in video game history had to delay the release of his Nintendo 64 game, Super Mario 64, because he believed that artistic creativity should not always be subordinated to economic imperatives such as profit, speed, and efficiency. Lo and behold, Super Mario 64 became one of the highest-rated video games of all time. With his mindset, Miyamoto stated at the time that while a video game that takes its time can be made good, a rushed game is forever bad. The same principle can be applied to films. Best Picture winners take their time and are awarded as a result, while Disney films are rushed out and are forever bad, as they often neglect to take the necessary time needed to form a sophisticated story. Disney has warped our cultural expectations to assume only their definition of what makes a worthwhile film. Disney has also successfully, deliberately conditioned consumers to expect and desire low-quality, simplistic, and hastily made entertainment that is part of a familiar theme or series. I find a vivid metaphor for this unfortunate trend in the classic film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. In this film, the main character is Randall Patrick McMurphy, played by Jack Nicholson, and he gets himself committed to an insane asylum as he believes that time spent there would be better than time spent in jail for the crimes that he committed. While there, he meets a bunch of characters that appear to be insane, and the head nurse at this institution, Nurse Ratched, played by Louise Fletcher, conditions the audience to think that these characters deserve to be committed to this asylum as a result. However, halfway through the film, this scene takes place. And just like that, the film changes completely. As it turns out, these characters do not have to be there. The only reason that they are there is because Nurse Ratched has been conditioning them to believe that they should be there, regardless of whether or not actually being there is good for them. And trust me, later on in the film, it is revealed that being there is absolutely no good for them. How does this connect to what we are talking about with Disney? Well, allow me to tell you a personal story. Ever since 2015, my friends and I have been at a theater on the opening day of every new Star Wars film, even though these films were not only not up to par with the original Star Wars film that was nominated for Best Picture, but also got worse with each new release. In 2019, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker came out, and tickets were hard to get. The only place that had tickets was a place that was far away for some of us, so that was where we went. After the film was over and we were underwhelmed, my friend told me that he was mad that I dragged him out here. I told him that this was the only place that had tickets, and he told me right back that we did not have to see this film. Needless to say, he was right. He absolutely hit the nail on the head. We did not need to see this movie. We did not even want to see this movie out of the thought that it would be a well-crafted movie. We just wanted to see how this trilogy ended because of how Disney conditioned us. And that is the attitude of both Disney and those who see Disney films that the Academy finds repulsive. All of this has caused the Academy to seem isolated and irrelevant to popular culture, a niche business rather than an arbiter of public taste, due to the enormous pressure from companies like Disney. Unfortunately, while it appears as if the Academy can succeed as a niche business due to a small but solid base of Academy supporters, it ought to be more mainstream because it upholds cultural standards that are independent of mere economic concerns. If you were to ask someone if they would like to see the films that contain the more sophisticated entertainment that the Academy prefers to reward, they would most likely say yes. But the high financial cost of going to the movie theater nowadays has made consumers want to play it safe with what they immediately recognize from companies like Disney. Therefore, the best way for the Academy to resist the Disney onslaught is to reduce the financial barrier to entry. Simply put, you, as a consumer of popular entertainment, have to vote with your wallet. The question is, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Are you willing to make sacrifices to support creative artistry? As someone who has dedicated myself to watching every single Best Picture winner for the sake of extracting this information about Disney and the Academy for use in this presentation, I hope that your answer to that question is the same as my answer to that question. And with that, I would like to thank you for listening to me talk and for thinking more critically about the films that you watch in the future. Enjoy the rest of the celebration of excellence and have a great rest of your day.